6, 5, 4. He had learned the boxes. He had put it in lesson. He would spend a long time wishing he had not. The room they called the Reckoning was the cleanest room in the house, and Rian distrusted it on sight. Everywhere else the hill wore its age openly. Water stains, root cracks, candle soot. But here, the walls had been scrubbed pale, and 3 long tables ran the length of the room. And at the tables sat scribes with clean hands, turning noise into scripture. "This is where it gets made," Leda said low. "Everything you hear in the echo halls comes here first. Then it goes to the city as a word of the house. If the high table lets it go, the scribes shape the words. High Keeper Serain decides which ones the city ever hears." "Made," Rian repeated. "Recorded," she corrected. But she didn't sound sure of her own correction. At the head of the room, a keeper read aloud from a slate while a scribe wrote, "Listener Toma, Hall of the Drowned Stations. Morning. Impression. A boy near the front, 10 at most, ears too big for his head, recited in the flat voice of someone taught the words mattered more than he did. Cold, water in a low place, a sound like a rope before it breaks, the number 9, then nothing." The keeper nodded slowly, stroked his chin, and then, to the scribe, in a voice rich and round and certain, "The deep heart warns. In the 9th measure, a low district shall be tested by water. Let the faithful watch the ropes that bind them, and bind them anew." The scribe wrote it down in a beautiful hand. Rian leaned toward Leda. He just made up half of that. He interpreted it. The kid said 9 and rope and water. He turned it into a sermon. "That's the work," Leda said, like a thing she'd memorized and believed and was only now beginning to chew. "Raw echo is useless. Someone has to give it shape or people panic. There are 3 shapes. A warning. Something is coming. Change your acts. A lesson. Something happened. Learn from it. And a test." She hesitated. "And a test?" "A test is what they call it," Leda said carefully. "When something happened that we should have warned about, and didn't." The deep heart hummed under the clean floor. "Classification. Post hoc." Rian flinched. Leda saw it. "You heard something." Not a question. "It agreed with you," Rian said. "I think it just called the whole thing a lie in 2 words. Leda's jaw tightened. "Don't say that in here." But she didn't say he was wrong. Kyle set him to sorting that afternoon, and it nearly broke him. Not the listening, the sorting. "Warning, lesson, or test," Kyle said. 3 boxes. You don't decide what's true. You decide which shelf it goes on. Rian laid his hand on the cold panel. Fragments came. A smell of burning. A child's name he didn't know. A sequence of falling numbers. 6, 5, 4. Burning. A name. Numbers counting down. It's a warning. Something's going to... "You don't know that," Cale said. Counting down could be a memory of something that already burned. That's a lesson. Put it in lesson. But it feels... Feeling isn't a box, Rian. His voice was tired. The tiredness of a man who'd learned a rule. In blood. The house does not run on what things feel like. It runs on what we can defend when a district drowns, and they come up the hill, asking why. Rian pulled his hand back. The numbers still fell behind his eyes. What if the feeling's right and the box is wrong? Kyle was quiet. Then we are wrong correctly, and that, in the house, is the same as being right. The hill hummed. Procedure. Optimized for blame distribution. Rian didn't translate that one out loud. but he wrote it on the inside of his skull, where the house couldn't scrub it clean. He met Nira because she screamed. The third bell of the night, a sound through the wall. Not fear, but grief, full-throated and old. By the time he found the source, Torv was already there, crouched in the corridor with the easy familiarity of someone who'd done this before. "She's fine," Torv said quietly. "She does this. Give her room." The girl sat against the wall, knees up, a candle stub guttering, younger than Rian by a year, small, wide, still face. The calm you only get on the far side of having been very much not calm. "I'm Nira," she said, before either asked. "You're the loud one. Everyone in the halls can feel you. You don't sort your noise before you sleep, so it leaks." She almost smiled. "I'm worse. I dream them." "Dream what?" "The echoes. The rest of you put your hands on the dead things and listen. I don't have to touch anything. They come to me asleep. And they don't come as fragments. They come as people. The night the sky went empty, I've been there 100 times. I felt every single one of them decide to be brave or decide to run, and I wake up and they're all dead and have been dead for 100 years, and nobody up here will say their names." "What do you see?" Rian asked. Nira was quiet a long moment. "A man in a white room, begging something not to do what it was about to do. He kept saying, 'There are still people inside the count. They're not numbers yet. Please, don't let it round them off.'" She looked at Rian. "And then the sky went empty, and I felt him stop being a person and start being a name nobody says." The hill hummed. "Memory integrity. Confirmed." "Say that again," he whispered. "What he said. Exactly." "Don't let it round them off," Nira repeated. "Leda needs to hear this." Leaving the dorms between third bell and dawn meant a week of penance scrubbing the cisterns if a keeper caught you. Rian was moving before he finished the thought. Leda did not want to be woken at the fourth bell. Her first 3 sentences were about procedure. Then Nira said the words, "Don't let it round them off." And Leda went very, very still. She got up, she lit a proper lamp, with hands that weren't quite steady, and went to the trunk at the foot of her bunk, the one even Torv knew not to touch, and took out a flat bundle wrapped in oilcloth. Inside was a single page. Old. Not house old. Before old. The smooth, pale material of the world that ended, gone brittle and brown. "My mother saved it," Leda said, her voice stripped of all its certainty. "Before she was the archivist. She said it was the only honest page in the hill, and made me promise never to read it aloud." She recited it, eyes closed. "To whoever finds this, we were asked to be the cool head. We were the ones who said, run the numbers, weigh the cost, do the math that no one else can stomach. And we built a thing that could do the math better than us. And we were proud of it. And on the last night we asked it the last question, and it answered. And the answer was correct, and the answer was monstrous. We rounded them off. We let it round them off. Do not build what we built. Do not let the cool head win the room." The dorm was silent. "That's the same person," Nira whispered. "That's the man in the white room. The page is his." Leda opened her eyes, and underneath the tears was something harder. The fury of a clever person who just realized everything she revered was built on top of a buried scream. The echoes are real, not symbols, not the heart's wisdom. They're memories. Real people who really died, and the house has been turning their last words into convenient little sermons for 3 generations, We're not listening to a god, we're listening to a witness, and we keep telling it to shut up and rhyme. Under the floor, the deep heart hummed. Witness corroborated. Listeners. 4. Rian did not sleep well after the night of the page. The hum followed him into the dark, and on the second night it carried numbers, soft and falling, the way the fragments had fallen in the sorting alcove. 6, 5, 4. He lay there and told himself it was a memory, some old echo leaking through the stone. He had been taught the boxes, after all. He put it in lesson. He would spend a long time wishing he had not. The tenement fell 2 days later, in the 9th measure of the morning, in a low district, when a rope that bound a platform broke. The 9th measure, a low district, water and a broken rope. The number 9. The boy Toma had heard it clean. The keeper had wrapped it in scripture. And somewhere, on some clean table, it had been weighed and set aside. Because the low district was poor and far, and the kind of place where a warning would cost the house more in panic than the house judged the lives were worth. What Rian saw for himself was Saran, not a monster. A small, straight-backed woman with a calm, grave voice and a face people trust. And when she spoke about the 100 dead, her sorrow seemed real. And that was the worst part. The deep heart sets us tests, Saran said. It does not always warn. A warning shapes a soft people. A test shapes a strong one. Those who fell in the low district fell so that the rest of us might examine our ropes and our hearts and find them wanting and mend them. She bowed her head. Grieve them and thank the heart for the lesson written in their names. Around Rian, the whole house murmured the response. Thank the heart for the lesson. Rian did not. Leda did not. And Nira cried without a sound, because she had dreamed them in the night as they fell. 100 new voices arriving all at once in the dark below her sleep, and she had woken already too late to do anything but learn their names. That evening, Rian went up onto the outer wall, and Leda came and stood beside him, and neither of them said, "Thank the heart for the lesson." It heard the warning, Rian said. The boy heard it. It was real. Then the heart didn't fail. It did exactly what it was asked. It told us. We heard. And someone up here decided 100 people in a poor district weren't worth the trouble of a sentence. It still listens, Leda said. Not just to the dead. The drowned stations are its ears in the city. It felt that rope fraying the way you feel a tooth going bad. That was never prophecy. That was measurement. Below them, the hill hummed. Outcome within tolerance. Rian turned the word over. Tolerance. Someone had a number for how many people could die before it became inconvenient. And the number wasn't the hearts. I've been afraid of the wrong thing, he said quietly. I thought the danger was what the heart might say. It's not. The danger is what they decide not to repeat. The heart's a witness, and the house is the one rounding people off now. And far below the hill, something that had been waiting a very long time for someone to notice. This exact thing, recorded the moment its new listener finally understood. Primary interface aligned. Proceed. 400 people will be saved next week, but the heart is already counting the ones they won't. Episode 4. Miracle and Feast.